Hello, this is Russell with Community Financials, the nationwide provider of monthly accounting for HOAs and condo communities. And today we're joined with our collection partner, Axela, which is a national collection agency that is focused on HOA and condo collections. And I wanted to show with Mitchell Drimmer's help. Mitchell is the president of Axela, to show board members how we work together and a little bit of the back end of their technology and what makes it so powerful, and some of the tools that they have at their disposal to make collections more powerful and at a more cost-effective option for board members and communities. All right, so Mitchell, tell us a little bit more about Axela and how it works.
Good morning. Good morning, Russell, and good morning, everybody out there in condo and HOA world. As Russell mentioned, I'm Mitch Trimmer, president of Axela. I'm a licensed community association manager. I've been in this industry for, well, let's say that we used to have to clean up the cave drawings. Okay. Uh, my specialty is community association collections and community association collections only. Now, everybody out there, or a lot of people out there, believe that when somebody becomes delinquent, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to punt it or send it over to the attorney. Management companies typically do that. Uh, Certain community financial companies will do that because that's the easy way to do it. When you send something to the attorney, you have to understand what the intent is. The intent is not to collect. It would be an optimal goal to collect, but the intent is to lien and foreclose. And as a matter of fact, if an attorney in an HOA or a condo moves forward to lien and foreclose and does not engage in any collection activity such as outbound calls, credit bureau reporting, um, uh, certain demand letters, they're not even subject to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So, what I'm trying to do is make a division between a collections process and a legal process. Mine, of course, is the collections process with the object and the goal to put money back into your operating account. Okay, so let's start talking about a delinquent unit and let's talk about Unit 101, Mr. Smith. 101, Mr. Smith has become delinquent, and your community financial services company has sent them a courtesy letter because, checks get lost, people forget, things happen, and a letter is sent out after the grace period. Fine, great, super. Uh, the next month comes by, and Unit 101, Mr. Smith, has not responded to your community financial company, and they send out a second notice. But this second notice, after the grace period, needs to have a codicil to it. Needs to have, if you do not respond, we will be sending this particular file to collections. Now, this is up to the board of directors. You could do it after 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, but collections delayed are collections denied. And people, if you allow them to continue to be in arrears, you're not doing them a service. You're doing a misservice to them, a disservice to them, as you are doing a disservice to the community association who needs its cash flow because you're a $0 business. If you budgeted to spend 100,000 a month, well, you better collect $100,000 a month. And if Mr. Smith and Jones and whoever decides not to pay, well, there's going to be a few checks in the drawer, and there's going to be a few vendors who are not going to get paid, and in many cases, they may even hit you with a late fee. So there's no economy in that. So the best economy is to have a perfect cash flow scenario. Is that possible? In some associations, it is. In associations where you don't take an active role in moving forward with collections, it's not. Again, I suggest that if somebody is delinquent after 2 months, you send them to collections. Now, as Russell pointed out to you, we have a partnership in that we are integrated into his software package so that we can see, with his permission, of course, and your permission, of course, we could see the ledgers. We could pull down the delinquent ledgers and report them to you every month. And then you could tell us which ledgers you would like to go into professional collections. Or you could tell us, uh, just say, send this one, or that one, and we'll act upon it. Now, what we believe, and part of our corporate philosophy, is to keep the prices low on people. Because once you put them onto an attorney or some collection agencies, and I'm going to say there are predatory collection agencies out there, the prices get insane. They get outrageous. And people who are delinquent, sometimes they're delinquent because they have the money, they don't want to give it up. But sometimes they have to make choices whether they're going to pay their Mastercard bill, their Visa bill, or whatever, or other bills, and they put the HOA bill right on the bottom. With our company, we make sure that the consumer, the debtor, the owner in your community association believes and understands that the debt owed and the obligation owed to the community association is probably the most significant debt that they have and should be the first bill to be paid, not the last bill to be paid. So let's get a little bit into the weeds here about exactly what we do and how we do it. Because the why of my company is I'm here to be a protector of the good paying owners in the association, those who work hard, budget well, get their bills paid on time, and act as if they're living in the community properly. Now, when something is sent to us or we're told to act on a certain uh, file, before we can act and do our first moves, we have to establish a fact pattern. We have to understand what's going on with the unit and what's going on with the owner. And here I just put a little list. The rest of the presentation will be a little more exciting, I promise you. And if I'm given Mr. Jones's ledger for 101, or if I have it and it's delinquent, and I'm told to work the file, we're just not going to send a notice, a demand notice or a late notice. We're going to find out everything we can about that unit, because when it comes to being a Fair Debt Collection Practices Act company, you are subject to a tremendous amount of regulations. So what do? The first thing we do is we go to the property appraiser site to see that if Mr. Jones certainly owns Unit 101, because I don't want to be chasing Mr. Jones, who lives in Unit 1001, and start sending information to the wrong subject, the wrong file. We go to the court records and we pull down Mr. Jones's mortgage and we make a note of who the mortgage servicer is and who the mortgage company is. And that's an important thing to have. And I'll explain that to you in a minute. So we look at the court records and we find out who the mortgager is, the mortgagee, excuse me, you're the mortgagor. And we find out or who's servicing the mortgage. And what we do is we run an algorithm. We run it through an algorithm and we find out how much equity, how much is left that's owed on that unit. And then what we do is we do a comparative market analysis to see the value of the unit so that we know if there is equity in the unit. Now, knowing how much equity is in the unit, if there is equity in the unit, is a tremendous point of leverage when it comes to engaging the owner. Because if you say to an owner, look, you have $40,000 of equity and you only owe $2,000 in assessments, the association has the right to take away your home, to lien and foreclose and actually confiscate your property, take your property. What I'm trying to accomplish is to keep everybody at home, in home, but on the right track and paying their bills on time, in time. So that's an important thing. We also like to look for all the liens that may be on the property. We'd like to know the whole story. And then, as I mentioned, we do the equity search to see how much equity is in the property. And then finally, we do a skip trace. A skip trace is where we look for the delinquent owner. Where do they live? Um, how much assets do they have? Are they in bankruptcy? May sound a little odd, but whether they're alive or dead, people pass on. And if that's the case, then what we will do is we'll take the collection case to the probate court and we'll look up for probate. So when we get the fact pattern, and we also have to look at your governing documents and make sure that your ledgers are in compliance with the governing documents and state statutes. Now, we trust Russell to do an excellent job, and he always has been. His ledgers are the cleanest in the industry. Uh, but we have to do that, and we have to check it ourselves again, because there's a lot of regulations, a lot of fines and violations to us if we do something incorrect. And if we send an incorrect ledger to somebody, that could be a violation of their rights under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So, as I mentioned, what do we need to know to collect? We need to know about the delinquent unit, if the unit has equity in it, who the owner is and where you could find them. If the owner is in bankruptcy, it's a whole nother story. If it's in bankruptcy, doesn't mean I can't collect. What it means, I have to cool it, hold it, monitor it, and then when they get discharged from bankruptcy court and their post petition, their petition gets discharged, then we get on our horses and we move forward to collect. But we will monitor it through a computer program we have called Pacer. Is the unit owner alive or dead? And the matter's in probate. Again, as I explained, we'll check the probate court and what bank or institution is holding the note. All important things to know. It's also important to know about the governing documents in the association, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what the late interests are. Does the debt roll over to the rest of the association if the bank forecloses? In some cases, you could go after an old owner. In some cases, you have what is known as joint and several liability, which means that if somebody owes money to the association and they sell it to somebody else, the new owner has to pay the old owner's debts. Now, that could be a part of your state statutes, but that also could be part of your governing documents, and we have to check for that. So we have to know that. And what are the minute late fees and late interest, because they will be added on to the ledgers, because that's what your governing documents require, and that's what I have to do. And then I always like to ask, has the association previously foreclosed on units using an attorney? How did that work out for you? Did it work out well? Well, I don't know how it could, because when an attorney forecloses on a unit, does he turn to the bailiff, and when you get summary judgment and he says to the bailiff, stroke this nice community association a check? No, he hands the association a a deed. It's an intervening deed. It's a limited deed. It's not a warranty deed, which means you own it lock, stock, and pussycat. It's a deed, which means that you own the place, but it's still subject to the bank's ownership, still subject to the bank's lien. Now, a lot of people ask me this question. if the association forecloses, do they have to pay the bank? The answer is no. Nobody from the association signed a note to the bank, so the association doesn't have to sign it. Doesn't have to pay for dues. And in many cases, and I'll tell you what happens when associations foreclose, they go out and they rehab a unit, and then they may rent it and recover their money for the attorney fees and late assessments and whatever it is from the rental revenue. But what happens if you foreclose on the unit and 2 or 3 months later, the bank forecloses on you? Remember, these units are encumbered, and chances are, if somebody hasn't been paying their assessments, they haven't been paying uh, their mortgage payments to the bank, and it's a race to the courthouse steps, and the bank will get there. And when the bank gets there, you get wiped out. They'll foreclose and they'll take title to the unit. And if you're fortunate enough to live in one of the 27 uh, super lean states, you'll get some money, not a heck of a lot, maybe 6 months, maybe less. And if you're not, then you're wiped out. Your lien is stripped. And the only other time that we may be able to help you get your money back, and this is part of our service, is that when the bank takes title to a unit, auctions it off, sells it, then if there is a surplus, we will be monitoring that surplus. And if there is a surplus, we will put in a claim with the court. We will petition the court to grab hold of that surplus money and bring it back to the association. And I'll be very candid about that. We do that in your interest, because we want to collect money for you, but we also want to collect money for us, because one of the things that I haven't gotten into yet is the cost. And I will get into that, but I will tell you, it's completely merit based. If we don't get paid, if we don't recover our money from the delinquent owner, then the association is not obligated to pay us for any of our collection costs, any of our fees, and that includes hard costs, which means the recordation of a lien by an attorney. So once we have the, how do I say, the information, and we know everything that we're going, we send out an initial demand letter. An initial demand letter is sent out to the regular address of the property that's delinquent and to the last known address of the owner. Now, if that last known address contradicts our skip trace, what we will do is we will see which is a more viable address, and we will send them a certified initial delinquency demand letter as required by federal law. The initial demand letter gives them 30 days to dispute the debt, 30 days to contact us, 30 days to get on a payment plan, 30 days to pay the debt. If they don't want to call, and I'm going to be showing this to you in just a moment, we have a web-based portal which will allow the delinquent owner to log on and to see what they owe. And I'll show you what they do and make a payment plan even, and make a contract, electronically sign it and send it back. But we'll get to that in just a second. What I'm showing you right now is what Community Financials looks at. And if you're a member of the board of directors, you have the ability to look at this. We ask who wants to be on the distribution list. And this gives us a portal to all the actions taken in our collection efforts. Every touch, every action, everything that we do. I just wanted to show you that we are integrated with sync systems,
Well,
Caliber.
the two softwares that we use is Caliber and Tops. So that's
There you
where we
have it.
get you get your information right out of our software packages.
That's exactly right. So we're able to go into your software packages and not only pull down delinquent ledgers, but we pull down all the ledgers, and then we send you a report, an aging report and a delinquency report once a month. And if you can't wait once a month, log on to the website yourself and see who's delinquent. And then we're going to show you how you send delinquencies into collections real easy. So, uh, collections or anything you do in business has to be a history, not a mystery. Now, right here, and I hope you can see it well, is a manager facing collections portal. It's manager, but it's also board of directors facing portal. I do want to be very clear that nobody's personal information is being exposed here. We mixed up the numbers, and so we're not exposing anybody's personal information. It's all real information, but people's protection. So here is a very interesting thing. For instance, community financials. Let's say he throws a whole bunch of associations in with us, which he's beginning to do right now, and I'm sure he'll have a lot more soon, won't you? Hopefully not actually, but who knows what's going to happen in this year. And so this tells him, uh, and if you were on the board of directors, you would not see all of Russell's associations. You would just see your own association. So let's be clear about that. Okay. So here is one manager we're working with, or a one we put together. He's got 108 units in collections. 146 units were closed. Um, 14 are in disputes. We've made 673 inbound calls we've received. All of our calls are recorded and available on this portal for the board of directors and the manager to see. So if you have somebody says to you, uh, I was not spoken to properly or rudely, or they did not, they were inappropriate. Well, let's listen to the phone call. Let's go to the videotape or the audio tape, and you'll be able to hear the phone call. And you don't have to ask me to send you a WAV file. It's all right here in the portal. As you can see, we've done 882 outbound calls, and outbound calls are the key. This really gets payments into the association because we call, we find them, we explain to them, we talk to them about what their issues are, and we get it done. Let me explain something to you. I kind of like skipped a step. After the initial demand letter is sent, they've got 30 days to dispute the debt. In collection terminology, this is known as the quiet period. We will not call them. We will not send them a demand letter. We don't want anybody else sending them demand letters. Federal law says they've got 30 days to straighten up and fly right. So, the calls only happen after the first 30 days. You can see we do 882 outbound calls, letters sent, and we have a very intensive, intuitive email string, which I'm going to explain to you in a little while. And emails sent, 1,028 emails. So as you can see, we do a lot of activity. Over to the right, you can see disbursements. And once every 2 weeks, and starting the beginning of um, next quarter, we're going to be funding weekly. So whatever we receive from a Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, on Thursday, we will be sending out a payment. It could go out by ACH or it could go out by check. That depends on your management situation. It depends on your financial company's desire. And you can see the checks, and if you click on them, and again, these are dead links because, excuse me, these are dead links because these are screenshots. But you can click on them, you can see a check. I'll show you a check in a minute. and you can see if it's cashed or if it's pending, and you could see, we do pretty good here. 13,000, here we got 31,000, 7,000. We get people on payment plans, and payments are made, and your cash flow is enhanced, and your association is thereby able to function in a more efficient and better manner. Now, boards of directors. Now, these are real reports, and I'll tell you what I did here. I wanted to show you real reports, but I truncated and redacted the real names. So you don't see any personal information and names. But you could pull down these reports 24 hours a day, 365 days a year in real time, anytime you want. Or I don't know if you have a Zoom meeting, Russell could email this out to you if you'd like, or you could print it at home. So you do get reports every touch, every time we connect with the delinquent owner. We will memorialize it and put it in the reports so that you could see that we're doing something, that we're not just taking it and throwing it, slapping the lien on it, waiting 60 days, and then servicing, and then putting them in court, and then wait for the court to do something. That's not collections. That's foreclosure. That's enforcing the security interest. Remember, these are secured debts. Secured debts are a lot easier to collect than unsecured debts. And unsecured debts would be, like credit cards where, there's no collateral. There's collateral here. There's people's homes. And we leverage that, and we tell them that, and we let them know that this is their most important bill, because if you don't pay your Visa, your MasterCard, worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to, bing your credit. But if you don't work with my company and Community Financials to pay your bills, then Community Financials and the board of directors is going to have to make a decision whether they want to send it to the attorney for foreclosure. And in some cases, it happens. I am not successful 100% of the time. Anybody who tells you they are successful 100% of the time, I think that you should show them the door. That's my opinion. Nobody's that successful. So you get your reports, and that's very important for boards of directors. Now, these are cash disbursements again, and again we truncated the names of the associations. Each association will get a disbursement once a week, once a month, or actually once every other week, or once every week. And it just shows you that you can click on it, see the check, and see what's pending. Now, this is what a disbursement check looks like. It's a check. If you want it as an ACH, we could do that, and it'll go directly into your operating account. Not a problem. Some people like to feel, the smell, the touch, the tactile stimulation of a check. I don't know. I know checks are old-fashioned, and I don't use checks a lot. But when I get a check in the mail, for some reason, it makes me a little happy. It's like when you find $20 in your jeans when you pull it out of the laundry. Okay? So anyway, so this check tells you who the money, or how much total we're sending, and who we applied it to. We applied it to 1 unit, 2 ledgers, 3 ledgers, 4 ledgers. We maintain the ledgers. I want to be very clear. We work with Russell very closely, but the ledgers are maintained by us. And we have to do that because you cannot have 2 entities pursuing a collection file at the same time. There has to be 1 ledger. And until the time that somebody has completely fulfilled their obligation and paid their dues to the association, our ledger is the real ledger and the only ledger. And of course, Russell will make sure that the ledger is accurate for you, because that's what Russell's job is. And it's good to have somebody keeping an eye on you. Now, remember I told you we integrate with your software system. So every night or once a month we send this out, but every night if you want to, you could see who is delinquent this month in your association. And here will be all the names of the people. I'm sorry that I had to take all the names of the people. Here will be the associations, and you will only see your association. And you'll see that all of these people are delinquent, and it tells you how much they're delinquent for. And then you can look at one and say, this one he promised to pay, and he's always been good, and he's going to get a check, and this one, they're whatever reasons you may have for not wanting to put people into collections, but the ones that you do want to put into collections, you just click, tick, tick, tick. It says add to collections. Hit a button. The ledger gets pulled down, and we do our underwriting, and it goes into collections. And again, the initial demand letter is sent. So let me tell you a little bit about what happens after the initial demand letter is sent. 30 days they're given, and 30 days they're given to engage in the payment plan. And this is what a payment plan looks like. And again, I truncated a lot, but the light blue tells us, or the turquoise tells us how much we received. The dark blue is how much people promised. Don't get mistaken by this. I pulled the screenshot in the middle of the month. And these dark blue ones will extrapolate and give you projections of what your cash flow will be like. So, when we get people on payment plans, it's a good thing and it's a wonderful thing. Okay. And then we're going to go into the owner portal in a minute and I'll explain it to you. So, after the first 30 days, person could go onto the owner portal that you see right here. And I'm going to show that to you. And they could resolve their delinquency right there without having to make a phone call, without having to write a letter to resolve it. There's a place for them to make a payment. And it's I'll give you a better tour of that later. Another thing that we do is we start outbound phone calls. We call them. How are you? How you doing? Very nice, very sweet, very gentle, very soft. We know that these are your neighbors. We know that these are your friends. And so we are not here to abuse them. We are here to engage them, to enlighten them, and to educate them, and to help them get on the right track. We will also send, remember how I mentioned I'm going to get a roster of all the banks and all the mortgage servicers? Well, we're going to get that roster, and everybody who's delinquent is going to have a letter sent to their mortgage company. The federal law, Fannie Mae especially, allows us, or actually requires us, to let them know if somebody's not paying their maintenance fees. Banks do not like it when people who live in community associations don't pay their taxes, when they don't pay their insurance, and when they don't pay their assessments. Now, taxes and insurance, sometimes they escrow, often they will, but I haven't ever seen anybody escrow assessments. It's a little too complicated because, well, you can use your imagination. So what we have here is we will send it to the bank, and often the bank, very often, up to 20% of the now has been paying. They will pay the assessments that's owed to the association, and we will of course pass that on to the association. They will add it to the mortgage of the individual, and that means that they're going to have to pay interest on their assessments, which doesn't make sense. So they're going to work it out and get right and stop bothering the association with non-payments, because this gets very complicated. Then we do credit bureau reporting. Very important, significant, and we will do it when the board of directors asks us to, because it is a very serious step. But we do have the facilities to let the credit bureau reporting agencies know who's not paying, and that provides consequences. So now we have some teeth. We have the banks coming after them. We have the credit bureau reporting companies reducing their FICO scores. We have people calling them. Uh, we are going to also send out a notice of intent to lien to the owners. So now, instead of just getting one letter from a lawyer, which goes right hand, left hand, garbage can, they're going to be getting calls, letters from us, letters from their bank, and they're going to be getting credit bureau reporting done on them. Uh, by this time, people have realized that the association is serious, and we're almost pretty much cleared up and done with people. 95% of our 90 to 90, it depends on the association. 90 to 95% of the average association will have all their delinquencies cleared up within 120 days. However, there are some very sick associations that are in very bad condition. So I can't, I'd love to promise everybody 90 to 95% in 120 days, but then there are very certain and very special situations, which takes us a little longer to work on. And if they don't pay, what we're going to do next is we're going to do an analysis and tell you if there's equity in the unit, tell you if the bank is moving forward on a foreclosure, and if it makes sense and it makes business sense to the board of directors, we will work with your attorney, or you could let us use our attorney. Now, we don't pay for the attorney. Everything else is at our risk and our cost, and our fees are deferred. But once it gets into legal work, well, then there's hard costs of the attorney, and we will do an analysis, and you'll let us know if you want us to move forward, and everything stays on our platform so you can continue to monitor everything that's being done. Okay, so that's step two. Step three is after the statutory amount of time as per the different states. Some states it's 45 days, some states it's 30 days, 60 days. Some states, like in California, you can't file a lien unless a unit owes $1,800 or is delinquent for more than a year. So we know what the state laws are. We will cause an attorney to file a lien on the unit. That comes out of our pocket. It's charged through to the delinquent owner, of which I haven't told you what the prices are yet, and I'll get to that last. I really should have gotten to that first. But again, very important for you to know, there is no charge to the association. There is no risk and no cost to the association. So this is all done on merit basis, where I have my interest aligned with the interest of the association. If my company doesn't recover your money, I don't get paid. And as you see, my name is Mitchell Drimmer. Mrs. Drimmer requires me to get paid once a week. So we're doing a successful job. Now I'd like to show you a very lovely piece of technology that we have here for the delinquent owners, and this is what we call our owner portal. Every owner that is delinquent has access to a portal by which they can look in and resolve their delinquency issues. One of the things you'll see is this home. There's make a payment, where you have access to a payment portal, credit card, debit card, e-check, ACH, however you want. Here's where you can request a payment plan. I'll show you that in a minute. Document Center. This is where you could look at the governing documents, and we just happen to put them up there because a lot of people will say to us something like, the late fees and late interest aren't $25. Well, we say, let's have a look at the governing documents. and we'll see what they are. If somebody wants to dispute, and there are people who have good reason to dispute, money wasn't applied or checks were lost or things happened, they could dispute it. So let's see how it goes one by one, what it looks like. This is called requesting the payment plan. So you press on that button, and this is not truncated because I wanted it to be very clear. So right now, this unit owes $4,999.89. If he wants to enter into a payment plan, and the board of directors is the one who tells us the length of the payment plan they are most likely to tolerate. In other words, if you tell me it's okay to do payment plans for 5 years, Russell won't. I won't tell you. Russell will tell you, no, 5 years is not what you want. Uh, I recommend 12 months, and in certain circumstances, I'll go as far as 18 months. Okay, and so this payment plan right here that we're looking at is for 12 months. It allows only to go up to 12 months. So as you can see, the subject here, he said, you know what? I'm going to pay this off in 4 months. Now, very important for you to understand that if he wants to pay this off in 4 months, this 4 months contemplates the 4 months of assessments, maintenance fees that he has to pay during the time, his tenure as a person on a payment plan. So I'm not looking to collect $4,990.89. I'm looking to collect, and if you could see it here, I hope you can see it here, $6,276.28, because that's how much he'll owe after 4 months, and he has to pay $1,500 a month. And when he's settled with his payment plan, he hits next. This is not a live presentation, these are screenshots. A contract will pop up. You could make an electronic payment. You electronically sign it. It gets sent to us. We electronically sign it, send it back to us. You tell us if you'd like to be reminded with a phone call, a text message, or an email, and the payment plan comes in. And if you fall off the payment plan, you're going to hear from us. You're going to hear from us within 36 to 48 hours if you haven't made your payment plan. We like to encourage people to do recurring payments on their payment plan so that they don't have to go to the portal once a month and put in their money. And again, should somebody speak to our customer service people, they'll do that too. They'll try and get them on a recurring payment plan. But this is for people who don't want to talk to somebody. And I think this is great because when I make airline reservations, I don't want to talk to somebody. I like to do it with Expedia. I just put in my dates, my times, and that's the wave of the future, to drive everybody to the website so that they can handle this themselves. All right, the next thing is the dispute. You see? Now, sometimes people have legitimate reasons to dispute. The only legitimate reason that I see for a dispute, or that we accept as a dispute, well, one of the very is that you paid, you could prove to me that you paid, and that your checks were misapplied, or if you went from one management company to Community Financials because you wanted to be smart, and that old management company is still sending the checks and they're putting it in drawers or they're depositing it in banks. People make payments and checks don't show up where they should. So if you have a dispute, you give your reason for your dispute, you give a little narrative, you talk to us about it, tell us, and then you could upload the fronts and backs of checks. Now, a lot of people may have a dispute and say, COVID-19, the pool's been closed, the gym's been closed, I live in a condo, I don't feel like paying. That's not a dispute. That's not an excuse. And that's not acceptable. And it won't be acceptable by us. And we'll let them know. And the thing is we're the ones who are letting them know, not Russell, not the board of directors. We take the heat, you know, and we talk to them reasonably and logically and say, look, you know, yes, COVID-19 and you can't use the pool, but the pool still has to be maintained. The water has to be changed. We know condos. And these calls are usually, if they do call, they last a long time. But this is, again, the portal where they're not calling. And so if they want to enter a dispute, we'll do a dispute and we will review it and we will get back to them. Again, the only time a dispute will has any potential to be successful is if they are proving to us that they've made their payments. It does happen. We get some pretty crazy disputes. Some people will tell us they don't live in an HOA. And so that's why we have, as I showed you before, one of the things they say they don't live in an HOA. So I'll tell you what, let's go to the document center up here and let's look at your documents. Let's see if you do live in an HOA. And sometimes we have to dive into court records to prove that they live in an HOA and a mandatory association. And then, you know, we bring them to reason and logic. We get paid. We send the money to your operating account, and that's it. And again, as I said, if people are not being reasonable and they will not pay, we will do an analysis, and then we'll talk about foreclosure. Because, ladies and gentlemen, foreclosure should be the very last step, the very last move, the very last idea you have in your minds as far as how to collect money from a delinquent owner. It's a harsh thing to take somebody's home away from them for want of a few hundred or a few $1,000s. And that's why HOAs get a bad name. How many times have you picked up a newspaper and see Iraqi war veteran returns to find out that his home has been foreclosed upon for $400? Well, we don't want that to happen. We don't like that to happen. And we want to back off. Now I'm going to get to your favorite part, and that's how much does this cost? Now, I said this a couple of times, and I'm going to say it again. All fees are charged through to the delinquent owner. If we cannot collect it from them, we do not expect the association to pay. There is no upfront fees. There is no setup fees. There is no hidden fees. There is no gotchas in this deal. We're, Russell was very kind in introducing us as a national company. We're an international company. We have, community associations throughout the world. So, we are serious about what we do. So, Russell, what was I talking about?
The fees and how it's different than the typical.
Okay,
where it's typical the lose situation where the association will pay an attorney hourly,
right?
And so the attorney's cost completely wipes out anything that's recovered, and so the association loses on that deal as well as the homeowner.
Right, and even if the attorney is successful, you still have to pay him. And if he's successful and the bank forecloses, you still have to pay. So here's our prices. Wow. This quarantine, you're in fog of quarantine. You're going to have to forgive me for having a senior moment, folks. So here we go for the prices. Very reasonable because we do not want to bury an owner in a situation where they cannot dig themselves out and they cannot pay their way out of a problem. So our opening fee, as I mentioned, when we start doing the underwriting, $389. Again, charged through and added to the delinquent owner's ledger. If you gave it to a lawyer, well, to say good morning to a lawyer, I think it's $600 to $800. I don't know in your particular state. All right, $300, and that's money the association has to pay. $389 for the owner to pay. We also will look at your governing documents, and we will add all the interest and late fees that are legally allowed to be charged as per your governing documents, and we will check your state statutes. I've seen governing documents contradict state statutes. State statutes will always rule over governing documents when it comes to this particular issue. And we will add that. If we collect the late interest and late fees, often which your boards of directors will waive off, and in many cases we will waive them off too in order to obtain a successful collection resolution. We maintain the late interest and late fees for our benefit, which are, $25 a month, $10 a month, and then, 10% a year up to, I don't know, 16 to 18% a year. It depends. The only other fee is if we have to file a lien, cause an attorney to record a lien. That is $289 plus legal fees, which don't really come to a lot. If you look at your lawyer bill, you'd think that was the most expensive thing in the world, but the court costs are relatively, small in all states. $80 or something, $289, and cost of that added on, and that's the end of our fees. There's no gotcha fee here. There's no hidden fee there. There's no extra letters fees. And let me tell you, we send out a lot of emails and a lot of letters, and our letters are very intuitive. If somebody goes onto our website and they're they're scrolling around, or they're using their cursor and they're going around the payment portal, what did I call it? The payment plan portal. The next day, and if they didn't institute a payment plan, our system knows that they were there and will generate a letter automatically saying, hey, we saw that you were on the payment portal page for like 2 minutes, but you decided not to make a payment plan. How about making a payment plan? Today's a good day to get started, to get right, and it will be followed up with a phone call from one of our customer service representatives. And we have many, many different scenarios for what people do, and letters that are pre-made, pre-canned to address those issues. And they also come in sequence, and they will sequence each other. So we're really engaging and notifying and keeping your owners aware of what they owe, because one of the things that they'll always tell you, I did not know, I did not hear, nobody told me, but they're going to get told quite a few times should they fall under our stewardship for collections. And that is my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Mitch, that was an awesome rundown. I just want to repeat a couple of things. Axela and Community Financials work together, and
Yes,
we work with the boards, we let them know what their options are, and then we sign them up for Axela to be able to access information and then be involved in the collections process. Two, one of the main deterrents is the ability for the association to use reporting to credit rating agencies.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a big reason for getting owners' attention, for them to take the HOA bill from the bottom of the payment pile and put it on the top of the payment pile. Next is the ability to save money versus what your current collection practice is. Your current collection practice is probably, fee intensive to the owner, so it buries them under payments, and then also fee intensive for the community. and there's no alignment between the outcome for the community and the success of a collection activity where there is with us. And then next is the ability to stay compliant with regulations in your state and federally for the Fair Credit Collection Act. And
And the
you're,
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau also.
yes. So, if you're a self-managed board and you don't know how to go about collecting funds and you're trying to send letters on your own and you may not have the right language, you might not have the right follow-up. So all of this is systematized too, start to finish between Community Financials and Axela. We're able to send out the late notice and the courtesy reminder, send out one or two of those. We've got collection policies that are sample collection policies that integrate between Community Financials and Axela. So that's a great place to get started so everybody knows kind of what the collection process is. And then that's what we follow and go from late letters to pre-lien notice, or you're going to a collection agency notice to, other items down the road. And then Axela being able to handle things, correctly and expediently. Plus also there's the transparency of all of the information of the touch points along the way. It's just a really dynamic solution, and I'm proud to be partnered with Axela and wanted to share this with both our clients as well as our prospects of how we work together to collect your funds and help you with your operating budgets.
Right. We like to say at Axela, we say it every day, Community Financials and Axela, it's like peas and carrots.
How about peanut butter and jelly?
Peanut butter and jelly. That's even
Chocolate
better.
and peanut butter. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Mitch.
Anyway, folks, that's it. Russell is an A-list celebrity in the community association industry. I'm still a B-list celebrity, but I'm available to help you. If you have any questions, let's say you decide to engage with Russell and do our service. I'm always available to be spoken to on the other end of the phone. I'm the president of the company, and when I make a promise and when I tell you I own a situation, it will be owned by me. All right? I'm very serious. I'm a funny guy. I like to tell jokes. But collecting your money is as serious as it gets, as far as I'm concerned. All right? And that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Professionals take their job seriously, and we're here to take care of the boards, keep them out of trouble and help them do their jobs effectively.
Right. I just want to pontificate a little bit. If a board of directors decides to start doing collections on their own and they send the wrong letter with the wrong words, you can be, even though you're not a debt collector, you can be fined and subject to penalties as if you were a debt collector, even worse penalties because you would be practicing a craft or an art or a profession. Profession, I think is the word, without a license. So don't try this at home. Don't knock on doors. Don't make calls. If they don't pay, have Russell do what he can, and if he can't, well, they give me a shot. We'll be glad to take them all on, and we will get your money. We will get your money, and that's it.
Terrific.
All right.
Thanks, Mitch. And I'll have Mitch's contact info in the video links for this recording on our YouTube channel.
Right.
And if you want to reach out, you can get in touch with me at info@communityfinancials.com. And if you need to get in touch with Axela, you can visit their website. Mitch, what's the website?
Website. There we go. Mitch at axela.com-tech.com. That's my telephone number and my email. If you want, we could do this presentation in front of your boards of directors again, and explain it to them and show it to them. Or I could do it if Russell doesn't mind taking an evening off or something. I'll be glad to do it and discuss this. And again, uh, I want to say this. I believe in what Community Financials does because I've seen too many management companies try to cover too much. And you're only as good as your on-site manager and the back office. And Russell doesn't do facilities, but he does do financials. And the back office is no finer back office than Russell. And for me to become one of Russell's partners, I had to jump through a lot of hoops, and it wasn't easy. And so I commend you because I think it's the best way to run a community association. Have the money, carve out the financials, and let somebody who knows what they're doing handle it for you every year. And the same thing goes for collections. Facility management, hey, what are you going to do? You call a landscaper, you get 3 bids, you're done, and that's that. Okay, folks?
Thanks,
Russell,
Mitch.
that's it.
Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching. If you have any
Thank you.
questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.